Good evening, and welcome to the Frank D. Ashburn Chapel. Today is March 2nd. On this day, Wilt Chamberlain scores 100 points in a basketball game in 1962. Also, it is singer John Bon Jovi's birthday. Holy Scripture says, "And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up." Have a great night, everyone.
A reading from the Hebrew Scriptures, Psalm 143. Hear my prayer, O Lord. Give ear to my supplications in your faithfulness. Answer me in your righteousness. Do not enter into judgment with your servant, for no one living is righteous before you. For the enemy has pursued me, crushing my life to the ground, making me sit in darkness like those long dead. Therefore my spirit faints within me. My heart within me is appalled. I remember the days of old. I think about all of your deeds. I meditate on the works of your hands. I stretch out my hands to you. My soul thirsts for you like a parched land. Answer me quickly, O Lord. My spirit fails. Do not hide your face from me, or I shall be like those who go down to the pit. Let me hear of your steadfast love in the morning, for in you I put my trust. Teach me the way I should go, for to you I lift up my soul. Save me, O Lord, from my enemies. I have fled to you for refuge. Teach me to do your will, for you are my God. Let your good spirit lead me on a level path. For your name's sake, O Lord, preserve my life. In your righteousness, bring me out of trouble. In your steadfast love, cut off my enemies and destroy all my adversaries. For I am your servant. Here ends the reading.
Would you welcome Nick Demsher to the pulpit?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to Sunday Chapel for once. Before I begin, I'd like to correct what has occurred to me as a majority of the school. My name is spelled Demsher. There is no P in my name. Please stop throwing it in there. And get psyched because I also have a confession to make during this speech, but I'll get to that later. Also, I promised Molly to pew a shout-out in my speech, so there you go, Molly. Your Snapchats consistently make me question your sanity. When I was thinking about writing my speech, I wanted to make it unique. I didn't want to be remembered for a cookie-cutter senior speech. It really didn't say much, and I certainly didn't want to stand up here and just make a few jokes with my opportunity to address a school. It didn't take too much thought to realize it did have something unique to talk about, my history with the discipline committee. I'll get into it soon, but I figured that I mentioned during my time here at Brooks, my stat sheet reads, 1 suspension, 1 stint on probation, 1 stint on dean's warning, 2 DCs, and 0 cuts. Check the records. I've sat on the wrong side of a DC hearing twice in my 3 years at Brooks. The first was in early April of 2012, in which my then roommate, Soda Hosoi, who also gets a shout-out, I miss you, man, was caught smoking pot in our room. I found out the hard way that the rule about being in the same room while someone is breaking a major school rule also applies if it's your room, so don't make the same mistake I did. If your roommate isn't doing something in your room, just get out. It's not worth it. That DC wasn't too bad. I only got dean's warning for a few weeks. And the second one was in November 2012. After Hurricane Sandy swept through New England, there was a complete power outage in North Andover, which obviously included the Brooks School campus. As a result, boarding students had to remain on campus for 2 days with no power, and when the order was given to evacuate campus until the power came back on, boarding students went back to their respective homes. Very late that same day, the announcement went out that power had been restored to the Brooks campus, and the announcement also said that classes would start up again the next day, meaning boarding students would have to arrive on campus so that they could attend their first period classes. As a result, I made a joke status on my Facebook page using questionable language, and I mentioned Mr. Packard in the status. After the deans were made aware of the status, the discipline committee suspended me for 3 days, as well as a few months on probation. That was almost verbatim what I sent to colleges for the disciplinary essay that they make you write. You guys ready for a confession? Rhetorical. I was gonna say it anyway, but all right. I didn't write the status that got me suspended. At the time it was posted to the page, I was taking a shower, and I never found out for sure who it was that came into my room and posted it, but I had a strong idea who it was, and he has since graduated. I admitted to it for 2 reasons. The first is because, for reasons I'm not going to get into, I was pretty confident I wasn't going to be taken at my word anyways. And I also said that it was me that wrote it because a kid who I think had done it had just finished applying to his early schools, and I knew that if I told the deans that someone had hacked me and they had figured out who it was that did it, he most likely would have been expelled. Not only would he have been in trouble for posting it, he also would have gotten in trouble for going into my room without permission and doing things on my computer while pretending to be me. I also very seriously underestimated the amount of trouble I was in before saying I had done it. But I wasn't going to rat him out. And so, looking at that scenario and not wanting to see someone expelled for what boils down to me indirectly ratting him out, I bit the bullet and said it was me. Now, I figure I have a little bit of knowledge to impart to you weirdos out there who like to stay on the good side of the law, so I'll explain how the basic process of a DC hearing works. First, you mess up. I can't emphasize that enough. That first step is a snowball that sets off the avalanche because the rest of this process doesn't happen without your messing up. The second step is that you get caught and that your form rep or other dean will have a series of conversations with you to figure out what happened. If the powers that be decide that you messed up big time, then you are referred to the discipline committee to explain what you did before the committee convenes and decides what your punishment should be recommended to Mr. Packard. Mr. Packard will then make the final call as to what your punishment is and will call you into his office to explain what your punishment will be. All right, now that I can see you're all thoroughly bored to tears, time for the part of the speech that I'm sure you're at least half expecting to hear. The next few days after returning from my suspension, one sentence kept running through my head. The next time you get in trouble, you most likely won't even be given to DC. Now, I'd like to think that that meant I've been given total immunity for anything I do for the rest of my time here at Brooks, but the fact that I'm standing here is a pretty solid indicator that I have not tested that hypothesis. Through those days, I went through what I like to think of as the 5 stages of grief, or as Will Ferrell once put it, a ballet of emotions and feelings. I tried to stick to the 5 classy stages, but I'm just not that clever, so here goes. The first stage, denial. This one can be summed up as me thinking, wait, there's no freaking way I went back-to-back semesters with DCs. But sure enough, I checked the records, and I had. How weird is that? Anyways, that one faded pretty quickly, what with the indisputable proof that, yes, I had pulled off the legendary back-to-back disciplinary special. The second stage, anger. After the realization that I had messed up pretty badly, I started to lash out a little bit at some of my friends. Most of you who know me know that I have a pretty thick skin when it comes to chirps, especially from Spelly. But that week I was having none of it. The lipstick-based jokes and all their variations got to me pretty hard. But what got to me the most was Dr. Double DC. Get it? It's alliteration because of the D's. That one was made up by the kid whose butt I had just saved from expulsion, and as such, that one cut me pretty deep. Stage 3, paranoia. One of the details I skipped early in my speech is that someone who was on my friends list had actually turned me in, and I never found out definitively who it was. This scared the ever-loving you-know-what out of me. To have someone you trust intentionally get you in trouble is not a good feeling. To never find out who it was makes it that much worse. Everyone around me was a threat, and I had to start from zero in terms of people at the school that I trusted, and to some extent, it's still an ongoing process. Stage 4, YOLO. With life at Brooks starting to return to normal for me, my personality slowly returned to normal as well. And then I got stupid. I remember that my thought process during this stage was, well, if I'm going down for anything I do wrong, I might as well go down in such a way that years from now, people will still be wondering how I managed to pull it off. That said, I never acted on this thought, but it sure brought up a lot of interesting hypotheticals in my mind. And that brings us to the final stage, acceptance. Eventually, I accepted my fate and told myself to just take the punishment like everyone else who's been in DC before me did. You know, like a fraternity pledge. In all seriousness, though, there is a point to this story. Brooks is a great school. I spent 3 years here, and I've loved almost every moment. The teachers care about your well-being, your friends make Sundays on campus bearable, and Hamsy and Snoop will make bad days good and good days better. Brooks will build you. Brooks will mold you. And Brooks will make you who you are for the rest of your life. Brooks will help you become who you want to be. And even though in the moment DCs seem pretty harsh, in the long run that little bit of discipline is just another way of Brooks shaping the responsible adult that Brooks knows is inside of you. Thank you.